Hey guys, before I start the video, I just want to explain something that's going to happen in the series. So, in this series, The Holy Night, I decided, fuck it, why not? I'm going to take a different turn. So, I have a 20-sided die here. And what that means is, when I roll it, depending on the number it lands on, like the higher, the better, lower, like the weaker and worse luck you get, depends on how things happen. This die will depend on if they find something good, if they get fucking really injured, if they kill something, so that'll explain like the sound of dice rolling in the background, so you're not confused. So I'm going to give it kind of a D&D feel. Note, I do not play D&D a whole lot. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. I rarely do this, so you won't have to worry too much about this. I just needed to add some context. Anyway, guys, let's get back to the video. Danielle, Featherhoof, and Gilda, along with Valkyrie, had been hired by the mayor of the Griffin City to take care of a minor nuisance that was out in the Badlands. What was this nuisance, you may ask? Griffin bandits had become an annoyance, a nuisance to the very existence of the city's economy, capturing caravans and herding and even holding some of them prisoner, then letting them go when they were useless. However, they did kill people, or ponies, or whatever. So, Danielle needed to eradicate them. This would be good. They'd get some pay and they'd be able to do their job. Gilda felt uneasy about this. She never actually killed anything. So did Featherhoof, along, well, not much of Valkyrie. Diamond Dogs were known to be violent. But Gilda was, since she had been integrated into the Pony Society for a little bit, she knew what it meant to be peaceful. However, Danielle knew all too well the fashions of war. He knew how it felt to bash in another man's skull. He knew what it felt like to slit someone's throat. He knew every in and out of death, as he had nearly died, and on an occasion had died, before being resurrected. Alright, my fellows. Listen, before we enter these treacherous lands, I must say, each and every one of you must fall behind me. As they moved more in, they came into view of these things, the Griffins, their camp. There were 3 Griffins in the camp. Danielle said, "Look, as much as I would go over and, against morals, kill them in their sleep, I can wait that long, but I want to find a diplomatic approach." Featherhoof agreed. Gilda shook her head. Valkyrie didn't really care either way. She was just nervous about the whole ordeal. Gilda wanted to kill them while they slept. Featherhoof wanted to try and resolve this peacefully along with Danielle. Featherhoof for moral reasons, Danielle for his religion and moral reasons, Gilda, who didn't really have any morals, and Valkyrie didn't really say anything out of anxiety. Danielle walked up and approached them and said, "Excuse me." They all turned, staring at them. They seemed to be over a fire pit, eating what appears to be a dead rabbit or something. He smiles, gets up and says, "Well, what do you want?" "Well, what I want, Fester, is to tell you this. Please, leave these badlands, or turn yourselves in. I am giving you this warning. I am not going to repeat myself. This does not have to end in bloodshed, unless you so wish it. If you do, I will make your death painless, or as painless as you're willing to let me make it, of course." The third one seemed rather intimidated, until a fourth one came out. Only one of them seemed intimidated. The rest broke out into laughter. It was 4 versus 4. However, Danielle knew magic, Featherhoof knew magic, Gilda was kind of on the even right now, and Valkyrie was just made of pure strength. What makes you think that we'll give up so easily? Alright, boys. What do we do now, boss? What we do? Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take you, big boy, and we're gonna gut you like a pig. The Griffins got up, the third one behind them all nervous. Daniel stood there, unsheathing his sword. Daniel was there with his unsheathed long sword. Featherhoof was right next to him, with his horn glowing. Gilda was there with her claw out. Valkyrie was there with her fist clenched. Daniel then took the first move. He moved forward, choosing instead to confront them. He moved to the right, taking his blade, and then making a stab motion forward, trying to use reach to his advantage. Daniel's blade had reached outwards. The Griffin tried to dodge, but was too clumsy. However, the stab was minor. It stabbed the Griffin below the left side of his chest. The Griffin seemed rather hurt, and stared at them. Before any of the others could react, Featherhoof looked over. His horn had glowed, and he'd fired a basic attack spell. The spell was a red ball of energy that fired out of his horn. However, when it had fired out of his horn, the one Griffin immediately yanked his wings upward, taking into the air. He had successfully dodged the attack. Gilda lunged forward and swiped her claws at the third one. However, the Griffin had blocked her attack. And then Valkyrie stepped forward, taking her fist and attempting to plant it in the fourth one's face. She successfully planted it into the fourth one's face. However, it proved fatal, as the momentum still carried on. As it planted, it slammed against his head, The fist slammed against his head, causing his head to move to a rock, and it acted as two forces collided into each other with a deafening crack. It had killed the first griffin. The fourth griffin was now dead. The first griffin looked at Danielle, angry, his eyes very angry indeed. He lunged forward with a flying attack, his two lower talons attempting to scratch and sink into his shoulders. However, he grazed his armor. Danielle was luckily unhurt. The second one had moved forward and tried to swipe at Featherhoof, who successfully ducked at the right moment, causing the second griffin to miss his attack. The third griffin had swiped at Gilda. However, Gilda had immediately yanked backwards before the talons could reach her face or her throat. As the griffin landed behind Daniel, the first griffin, from his flying attack, Daniel then planted his foot and then pushed himself, lunging backwards at him with his blade, attempting an overhead strike. The blade cracked right into the frontal lobe of the first one. It had killed it instantly. The first griffin was now dead, blood pouring out of its head. Featherhoof fired another attack at the second one. It had slammed against the second griffin, sending him flying backwards. He had slammed against a rock. It had weakened him so much that he was in a near-death state. Gilda ran forward and swiped her talon at the third one. It had barely grazed him, causing a few small slash marks on the griffin's face. Valkyrie followed up by punching. However, he was easy to dodge this next attack and moved to the right to dodge it. The griffin moved forward and, attempting to head at Danielle, he quickly moved to the right and swiped his talon at Featherhoof. Featherhoof had ducked down and missed, and it had missed. The griffin lost its footing and fell over. The second griffin was limping away. Danielle ran over and attempted to punch him in the non-lethal attack to knock him unconscious. It was successful. The griffin was knocked out, and Danielle began healing him with his powers, casting a basic and advanced healing spell onto the griffin. Featherhoof had fired a spell at the third griffin. The spell worked as the third griffin had tried to attack Gilda again. The ball fired outward, slamming into the griffin. It was a non-lethal spell and rendered the griffin unconscious. They had won the fight, proving to be victorious. They decided to rummage around the camp, seeing if they could find anything. Danielle searched first. He found a few coins here and there, and even found a small ring. Nothing of value. Well, nothing too much of value. Featherhoof had found a really nice-looking vase that may have been really expensive, but out of clumsiness he fumbled it, fell, and broke on the ground. Gilda had looked next. She had found some more food, and she had also found, on top of it, she found changeling currency. Changeling currency was worth more than Griffin and Pony combined. However, it was only a small amount, so it wasn't too much, and that was all she found. Valkyrie didn't find much of anything, but she did find an amulet that may or may not have a magical property, or could be enchanted. The group smiled to themselves. They felt content, except for Featherhoof, who felt down. He broke the vase, and he didn't want the others to be mad at them. But Danielle reassured him, and they began walking back. They turned in both criminals, and collected a bounty, after bringing back the 2 dead bodies, of course. This adventure was getting rather hard. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video, and this is just another quick update. So basically, what I'm going to tell you is that Danielle is a fighter class / mage class. Basically, he's combined where he can use spells and he can use his weapon. Featherhoof is a brawler / mage class. Gilda is a tank class, basically meaning that she's tough and she uses her talons. But no, I'm just joking. Gilda's a brawler. Valkyrie is a tank class. Now there will, I'm letting you know this now, there is going to be 2 new characters after a while into the story that will join. One of them will kind of be like a rogue, and one of them will be kind of like an assassin. So anyway, guys, that will be it for this episode of Holy Night, and I'll see you all later.